What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Forecast Rookie Prospect Reports, where I'm spotlighting three 2026 rookie prospects who fantasy managers need to keep their radar on and early. Nick Singleton aren't just names that file away for later. Each will bring traits that translate right to the NFL level and fantasy football production, and they're the types of players who quietly gain value before the market fully catches up. So I've dove into the film, broke down their role, usage, and probable projections here, focusing on what really matters for fantasy football. If you're looking to get ahead of the rookie draft cycle instead of reacting to the consensus, this is one of the episodes you want to be locked into. So let's get this party started. Welcome back to the Rookie Prospect Reports right here on FSAN, where we're breaking down incoming NFL talent through the fantasy football lens. Last week, Mad Dog spotlighted Damon Claiborne, Jacoby Lane, and Michael Trigg, diving into the traits and development paths that could make them valuable assets before the market adjusts. This week, I'm focusing on Nick Singleton, Elijah Sarratt, and Trinidad Chambliss, three prospects with very different profiles, legitimate fantasy intrigue. Each brings a skill set that could translate into opportunity right away at the next level, whether through volume, versatility, or explosive playmaking. I'll be breaking down their strengths, areas of development, projected roles, using film to outline both their floor and ceiling outcomes, from power to burst in the backfield to the separation ability and usage versatility. This episode is designed to help fantasy managers stay ahead of the rookie draft cycle and identify value before consensus forms. So let's bring up our first guy here, and that is Nick Singleton. And tough combine Senior Bowl for him. The interstate Nicholas Singleton, 6', 221. He arrived at Penn State as one of the more decorated recruits in the country and immediately lived up to the billing. A former 5-star prospect and Gatorade National Player of the Year, Singleton stepped into a major role as a true freshman and never looked back. Over 4 seasons in Happy Valley, he piled up over 3,400 yards and became the program's all-time leader in rushing touchdowns and developed into a legitimate dual-threat option out of the backfield. While he shared touches with Kaytron Allen throughout his career, the interstate consistently flashed NFL traits, improving as a receiver and showing functional value in pass protection. His decision to return for his senior season solidified his resume as a durable, high-usage back rather than just a projection play. When breaking down his tape, Singleton's best game, came late in his junior year, where the interstate opened up Penn State's Final Four game, scoring 5 touchdowns while showcasing patience, burst, elite long speed. And once he hit that second level, his middle tier performance often came in games with capped volume due to the backfield rotation, yet he delivered, efficient on his carries, reliable pass protection, and chain-moving runs. His worst stretch of games arrived during the scheme shift in 2025, where a more gap-heavy approach limited his strengths and exposed occasional stiffness and missed cutback lanes, and his vision also was some troublesome there. But even then, the interstate kept churning forward, remaining effective near the goal line and firmly in the game plan here. And he was there right to the end, obviously with Kaytron Allen, who's another dynamic running back who brings another value type. But was really looking forward to seeing what Nick Singleton could do at the NFL Combine if he were to test, because that's where his athletic dominance should have come to light. But I'm not going to see that, so that might damper his draft capital. Straight line explosiveness, one of his strengths. He hits the open pavement and verified a 4.39 speed, erases pursuit angles, and turns modest creases into chunk gains. He's powerful, folks. He's like through the contact. At 221 pounds, he absorbs glancing blows and keeps momentum, making him a reliable short yardage and red zone option. 3-down competence, improve receiving production and pass protection, and willingness to keep him on the field in multiple situations. We saw down the stretch here. Limited lateral creativity. He isn't built for stop and go traffic. He's struggling to chain multiple cuts when lanes close. He's got inconsistent cutback vision at times. He commits too quickly to the design path instead of taking the open exit, and scheme dependence. Zone-heavy schemes maximize his strengths, while gap-heavy schemes can slow his momentum. A couple guys that, he kind of similarly, profiles to as a comparison. One comes to mind, Quinshon Judkins, kind of that bigger bruiser type back. He'd probably be my best one for him. He's got some elite traits as well. His draft outlook, entering this draft class, with that injury, losing out on the combine, I can see him slipping to the, beyond the third or fourth round range now. But medical evaluations are going to be weighing heavily on his draft capital. So if they don't get them, it's going to be tough to put a peg on him. So unless a team really has a lot of optimism and they really see him fitting into their system, I can't see that draft capital being very good for Nick Singleton. But, a team might take a stab at him, and you never know what happens at that stage. All these running backs need is an opportunity to get on that field. Now, let's move on to our next prospect here, folks, and that is Elijah Sarratt. Okay, I call him the eraser, and he's the definition of earned production. From a 0-star recruit, he worked his way from St. Francis to James Madison and ultimately ending up in Indiana, producing immediately at every stop. As a freshman at St. Francis, he caught 13 touchdowns and announced himself as a finisher. And at JMU, he leveled up, and against a FSB competition, he posted over 1,000 yards, earning first-team All-Sun Belt honors. And when he got to Indiana, we saw what happened over the last year here. His tape shows some lights of some brightness here against Oregon twice. He delivered clutch touchdowns, including 2-score performance in the Peach Bowl semifinal, where his body control and late separation repeatedly erased coverage of mid-tier games. He often looked quiet statistically, but elite situationally, like his steady chain-moving performances in Big Ten play, where he consistently won on third down and, of course, in the red zone. His worst games came against physical press secondaries that challenged to release him and limited his early timing, forcing him to win later in routes rather than right off of the line. Even then, the eraser still found ways to score, reinforcing his role as a situational weapon rather than a volume merchant. Okay, remember that, folks. Situational weapon rather than a volume merchant. He's tall, but he's got that thin frame, so he's going to be hard up against press coverage, and I think he can win if he has, that speed that can get vertical, but not seeing it from him. A 4.6 40 shows up on tape. He is not consistently burning the boundary. His release versus physical corners, longer, press capable defensive backs can disrupt him. His timing, his early reps, after the catch ceiling, after he secures that catch, he moves forward, but doesn't consistently create explosive yards after the catch. He's got that elite hands at catch point and discipline. He plucks the ball away from his frame and finishes through contact, giving quarterbacks a trustworthy target in tight windows. His intermediate route technician, he thrives between 10 and 20 yards out, manipulating leverage, setting into zone voids with veteran-level spatial awareness. And he's a red zone assassin with 44 touchdowns. The racer understands timing, body positioning, and leverage when the space shrinks. Elijah Sarratt profiles as a time-based X-option power slot in offenses that prioritize precision over pace. He fits best in systems built on slants, digs, back shoulders, and red zone isolation concepts. His lack of explosiveness and athleticism caps his fantasy ceiling, but his floor is one of the safest among the 2026 wideouts. For manager, Sarratt projects as a steady wide receiver 5 flex who will deliver touchdowns and first downs, while flashier names may draw the hype. So depending on where he lands, obviously, folks, it's an important one to keep our eyes on. Now, another thing we have to keep our eyes on here, that is us here at the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and the Debbie Dojo and the Forecast. We have been hard at work at putting together something special for y'all. Check it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network NFL Rookie Prospect Guide, built by fantasy managers for fantasy managers who want an edge before draft day even arrives. The Debbie Dojo and the Fantasy Forecast squads have been grinding film and data, breaking down over 70 offensive prospects with fantasy football in mind. Every profile includes college production, athletic testing, advanced metrics, and role-based evaluations that translate directly to your dynasty, redraft, best ball, and superflex leagues. The first release drops Monday, March the 9th, with a fully updated post-NFL edition coming 1 week after, complete with landing spots and fantasy outlooks. Make sure to get your copy at release. Everyone who grabs the early edition receives the updated version at no extra charge. With the Fantasy Sports Advice Network NFL Rookie Prospect Guide, winning your league isn't luck. It's doing the work early, staying ahead all season, and forcing your league mates to play catch up from day one. Yes, folks, be sure to check that out on March 9th when our first drop happens. And back to Elijah Sarratt, he's, looking pretty decent with those 40 touchdowns. So I can see him being in a team's eye here in the mid-second round, maybe third round, depending on how well these guys slip. I mean, these wide receivers are kind of where things are at here in this draft class as far as skill position goes. So it's the strength there. Elijah Sarratt's probably my 9th or 10th wide receiver in this class, but I mean, that's still probably worthy here in some ranges to get a third, maybe a second, third, fourth round pick here for him. So yeah, look for him. 133 QB rating when targeted, 98th percentile, intermediate route success, 15 touchdowns in 2025, despite missing 2 games. And he needs to be in the lineup in order for him to be a situation here. So it might be a year, maybe 2 before he comes out. But this guy might be one to keep your eye on with his frame. And if he can, that's a wrap for this week's Fantasy Forecast 2026 Prospect Rookie Reports. Singleton, Sarratt are all rookies you need to have on your radar, whether it's the breakaway speed, the clutch catches, or that dual threat magic. These guys have the upside to shake up your fantasy rosters. If you want the full scouting reports and in-depth film breakdowns and weekly rookie updates, hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't, so you don't miss a single draft insight. Dive deeper at the FSAN.com, where complete rookie analysis is going to be at your fingertips with that rookie guide going to be dropping on March the 9th. So remember, small frames, big plays, and nicknames like Lawsuit Lefty are exactly what championships are built on. Drop a comment below with a rookie that you're targeting in your rookie drafts. I want to hear who your picks are headed in to this offseason. And from all of us here on the Fantasy Forecast, rookie scouting reports, well, I'll see you next time. Later.